Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Welcome to this Tuesday edition of the show. Great to have you with us all across America and Canada and wherever you may be watching, courtesy of the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. There's NFL to talk about. There is some NBA I want to discuss. Heck, we'll even slip in a little prediction market talk at the end of the show in odds and ends. You won't want to miss that. David Aardsma is here, former big league reliever and closer. We'll get his thoughts on the World Baseball Classic, which I will opine about here in just a couple of minutes. And we'll also hear from him on the early reviews on ABS, this automatic ball strike system, and how teams have used it, which teams have done the best in terms of challenging. We'll get into that coming up with David Aardsma and talk some baseball with him on this Tuesday. But we start things out as we always do. It's time for the big story. And the big story today, for me, is twofold. We had a two-parter for you today. Let me start with the World Baseball Classic. Look, this is the difference between manufactured events like the World Baseball Classic and events like the Olympics, which are once every 4 years, has a rich tradition in history. You got guys out there wanting to win gold. You just saw it in hockey. There's a difference between things like that and something that is manufactured, like the World Baseball Classic. And it is this. In the World Baseball Classic, Team USA, on paper, looks like a great baseball team. And we could sit here and go through the roster and the players all day. It looks like a great roster on paper. But how much those guys play in the course of what could be up to 7 games, that's going to determine how far Team USA goes. And based on the early predictions, or based on the sort of information coming out from Mark DeRosa's team, and the fact that you're going to have guys pitching a few innings here, a few innings there, it doesn't feel to me. And part of this is also the calendar and having this thing played, in the middle of spring training when guys aren't fully stretched out and can't go 7 and 8 innings and throw 100 pitches. Part of the problem with this is it's hard to be fully invested if you're players because you got to protect yourself for a 162-game slog through the MLB regular season. And to me, it doesn't feel like Team USA, led by Aaron Judge, our Captain America, let's go. It just doesn't feel like they're fully into it. Whereas when you watch the hockey team in the Olympics, and again, I get it, it's a different atmosphere. It's the Olympics. And it's a team trying to snap a 46-year curse. You had guys playing massive minutes. You had Sidney Crosby getting hurt and now being out for, who knows how much time here in the second half for the Penguins. Baseball isn't built that way. The World Baseball Classic is not built in such a way that you're going to have the best players playing full bore, going all out in this World Baseball Classic. Now, maybe with position players, you'll get it more than, obviously you're going to get it more than you do with pitchers. But to me, as much as I want to be invested, and look, if Team USA's in the championship game and Joe Ryan's pitching for Team USA, which I think is a joke unto itself that we'll talk about with David, as much as I want to get excited, if the players aren't bought in fully, for whatever the reason is, whether it's because they want to protect themselves, they've got contracts, they want to worry about the 162-game regular season, whatever it may be, if they're not fully invested in it, how can I, as a fan, get myself fully invested in it? And again, if it's USA and the Dominican Republic or USA and Japan in the championship game, am I going to be riled up about it? Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It'll be exciting. But it's not going to be the same thing as it would be if you were talking about something that everybody was fully invested in. And everybody was pulling in the same direction, and you knew that. It's impossible to say if every guy on this roster is pulling the same way given what lies ahead of them in terms of 162 games, the longest regular season in all of professional sports. That is part one of the big story. Part two, we are in the midst of NFL player movement bonanza. We've got franchise tags being placed on guys today. Breece Hall, the latest to get the franchise tag, the non-exclusive version of it, from the New York Jets, meaning he could potentially sign with another team. If the Jets opt not to match, they get 2 first-round draft picks. That's a pretty big, steep price for another team to pay. But if you really want Breece Hall, if you're a team that needs a running back, hey, maybe you go and make a play for Breece Hall. He'll get over $14 million from the Jets if that franchise tag winds up sticking. It also gives them time to work out a deal potentially with Breece Hall. But we're at that time of the year now. We're 8 days out from the start of NFL free agency, the official start of NFL free agency. And there's going to be a lot of player movement here to watch over the next several days. What happens with Max Crosby in Las Vegas, where I am based, where we do the show from, home base every day? What's going to happen with Max Crosby and the Raiders, with talk that he wants to be moved? What happens with Myles Garrett in this offseason, where he comes off a record-breaking season with the most sacks in a single season for an NFL player? What happens with him? What happens with Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts? Everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion. They get this thing worked out. Daniel Jones will be back in Indianapolis. Nothing. Though, if we've learned anything by now about the NFL, we should know that nothing is a foregone conclusion anymore. You never know what's going to happen in terms of player movement. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, obviously, over the next several days and into next week. There is some more NFL conversation to get into. David Montgomery was moved yesterday from the Lions to the Texans, giving them a viable back, to hand the football off to. He obviously was a big piece in Detroit with the Lions. Fell out of favor. There were some things going on there. Obviously, he wasn't happy. I'm sure he's happy to be moved to a place where he's going to be appreciated a bit more. It means Jahmyr Gibbs right now is really the only back they have. What does that mean for them in this offseason in terms of trying to approach something in free agency or via the draft to go and improve that team as far as the running back spot is concerned? So there's a lot going on in the NFL. Despite the fact that it is the offseason, the combine is done, the draft is around the corner. We will be following all the latest moves here on this show, and also with SportsWrap Shorts. If anything happens and we don't get it into this show, it'll be available on our YouTube channel, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, go and do so. All the latest is there. David Aardsma is next. Welcome back to the show. You've heard what I had to say in the big story. We got some baseball in there. The World Baseball Classic coming up. Hey, let's bring in this guy. There he is. Look at that handsome mug. Those pearly chiclets. David Aardsma is here.
I don't know about that today. I don't know. I'm not feeling it today.
What's the matter?
No, I don't
Kill
know.
the music.
I got to shave the head. The colors are clashing. I don't know.
What are you talking about? I can't see your head. It's not there.
So we got the World Baseball Classic, and I posed the question to you both. I like this whole Captain America Aaron Judge thing. I'm feeling this vibe because he really does look like a superhero. If anybody could lay the claim to Captain America, isn't it Aaron Judge, guys? I love it. I'm fired up. The problem with this whole thing is, and I talked about it in the big story, so I'm not going to go long on this. I'll let you guys weigh in. The U.S. just isn't invested in it. You got guys pitching an inning here and there, pitching a game here and there. I mean, if they win, it would be by dumb luck, it feels like to me, because it doesn't feel like they're invested in winning as much as they're just invested in being there.
I actually think they're invested in winning. I think they want it. I think when we're here in the U.S., we tend to have so many other distractions that you're not realizing like how these guys are talking about it and how much they want it and how badly they want it. When you have the thing we've kind of talked about in the past is not getting the best, especially on the pitching side. Like we were not getting the best, and now you'll get this pitching roster, and you're like, there isn't any better. You can't do better from a pitching standpoint without a doubt. from a U.S. standpoint. You cannot do better. And we're getting one out of school. Well, that's fine. There's only 7 games. You can only throw probably twice, really, the whole time. And so I'm fine with one out of school. But I think from a U.S. standpoint, you can't get better.
Sam?
Yeah, I mean, so, okay. I'll start with the Captain America thing because we got to stop the ridiculousness.
Let's go!
Did you see and David will understand this. Did you see the speech that he tried to give
I loved
to the
it.
team? Oh my gosh. There's a reason he got dragged online for it. I don't think he could motivate me to eat a sandwich. And I'm a bigger guy. I like sandwiches. Yeah, no. And besides that, to be Captain America, you actually have to have gold hanging around your neck. Aaron Judge, first of all, this will be the first World Baseball Classic that he's participated in, which is ridiculous because he's been in the major leagues for the last 2. And second of all, we have a hockey team that just won gold in both genders over across in Milan less than a month ago. Like, you want to pick Captain America? Give me Jack Hughes before you're giving me Aaron Judge.
Fucking Captain America of baseball. Oh, please, that guy could barely talk. Did you watch him on SNL the other night?
Can't read off. Just walk in that door.
Can't read off of a card, please.
Okay, Mike Trout's still my Captain America if you're restricting me to baseball. But David, I have to ask you this. As somebody who was part of other countries' baseball pipelines, right, and had teammates who were part of USA Baseball and have been coaching in part of USA Baseball throughout your career, my question to you is, how much of a disappointment is this for a USA Baseball standpoint? To, sure, have the best pitchers in the world coming to pitch for you, but saying you're only going to get a quarter of me at best. Lining up Joe Ryan to start the championship game if they make it that far.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're not invested in winning.
It has to be a disappointment, right? Like, if I were a 12-year-old, as I once was watching a World Baseball Classic, and I were watching a championship game and Joe Ryan were starting it, I would not be as motivated to want to go be great and want to go represent my country in a WBC one day. How much do you think this will affect the other generations of USA Baseball and USA Baseball as a body, right? As a body of American baseball players within the world?
Okay, I get it. He's not the name, but he's a pretty dang good pitcher, guys. Like, he hit a 3 ERA in the big leagues.
He's the second best pitcher on his team at
He hit
best.
a 1 whip. Sorry, he hit a 1. Like, that's, we can talk about the name, and I understand that. Our problem is that we're sitting here talking on March 3rd about the championship game. Like, what are we doing? Like, you wouldn't talk like that about hockey. Well, you know, who we're going to face championship? Who we're going to face? No, you go one at a time. We're assuming we're even going to get there, and we're like trying to break down our hopes and dreams of like kids of 12-year-olds. You think kids are looking at the championship game already and going, oh my God, Joe Ryan Starr, I can't be a baseball fan anymore. That is such a crazy thought. That's the problem, is that we're in an age where we're trying to pick and prod and pull out of this the worst thing we can pull. And the worst thing we can pull is that the dude who actually is a really good pitcher is going to pitch our championship game.
I'm just going to watch.
Let's get there.
I think the worst thing that we can
pull. Let's get
through
a couple rounds first.
I think first of all, the championship game is 2 weeks away from today. So, like, we do need to start looking at it, like, practically, because pitching rotations are going to have to work out so that guys are lined up to pitch in that game. But more importantly, I think the real problem here, David, is this. You and I would both agree, within the country of the United States of America, we have the most talented baseball players. I don't think that's a question. We have more talented baseball players in America than they do in the Dominican Republic. We have more talented baseball players in America than they do in Japan. Strictly, if you want to do it based on a statistics game, because we have more people and better science here to develop better athletes.
Science.
The problem is, we're sending the third most talented team at best. That might be a little generous to this tournament. It is ridiculous for a country who spends as much money on athletics as we do
Sam
to
hates
not
America.
have the best team going
say
into
it, David.
this tournament.
David, say it. Sam hates America. You're America hater.
I don't understand where the third best comes from. Okay, so we got Aaron Judge. God, he sucks. Pete Crow Armstrong, he's horrible. Roman Anthony really disappointed his rookie year. Bryce Harper,
The lineup
Alex
is not
Bregman,
better
Bobby
than the
Witt
Dominican
Jr.,
Republic's
Paul
or
Goldschmidt. Fine.
Japan's.
Like,
it's not better than Dominican Republic's or Japan's. It's not.
We have both Cy Young winners. I'm still trying to pull where we suck. So we got Mason Miller. God, I would hate to see him come out of the bullpen, man. Like that.
Both Cy Young winners who are going to throw a combined 120 pitches, maybe. We're
going to get three games out of our 7 out of both Cy Young winners. And then we got another guy who's won Cy Young playing out pitching our other
1.5 games. You'll be lucky to get 15 innings out of those two guys.
But that's the time of the year. We're focused on that. That's the same thing the Dominican players are going to be going through. The same thing Puerto Rican players. The same thing Japanese players. They're all on the same timeline with us. We're trying so hard to pull negatives. Don't pull negatives. Let's go. Team USA. And Netherlands.
Hold your fire. You're an Eileen Gu, aren't you? You got another country that you're going to go and compete for? I'm going to just call you Eileen Gu.
I got to give them love. Right. I am American. I'm U.S., but got to give the love to the ancestors.
All right, fair enough. We're going to do more of this on the other side. There's more baseball to talk about. ABS and who knows what else. Don't go anywhere. Well, after that last segment, I don't know how we top that. David Aardsma here, former big league reliever, closer, Netherlands enthusiast. Sam Yarnell.
Close to pitching for him. That close.
Sam Yarnell, America-hating liberal.
I know, right?
God.
We're feeling it.
Terrible. We're deporting you.
God. Our team sucks. Third best roster.
Hey, I'll say
Aaron
this.
Judge can't be Captain America.
One of the three people on this show right now pitched in the major leagues. One of the 3 people on this show right now was registered in the USA baseball pipeline at one point. Those 2 people are not the same person, folks.
Fair enough. Well, don't they put like 12 and 13-year-olds in that pipeline now, though?
I think I was 16 when I was in it, but still.
With the 12 and 13-year-old division.
The 12, yeah. Wow, well played. So let's move away from the World Baseball Classic. The numbers are in on the so far for ABS. I'm a big believer in the idea that, you know, if you're a great hitter, you're going to be an even greater hitter in this. But so far, the numbers don't really bear out, at least in the early going. And maybe there's some trial and error here. The numbers don't really bear out, you know, this distinct advantage. You know, I thought you'd get more correct calls. I think the highest is like 67, 68%, something like that. I thought you'd have guys getting it right more when they challenge, David.
I think a couple things going on. One, the rule book for the ABS is much different than the rule book we've played by for the rest of Major League history. Okay, the plate is a 3D object in 3D space. ABS is not. And ABS is taking it from the middle of the plate, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. That you're taking it from the middle of the plate and not from the front of the plate, which is the rule, which is exactly where the strike zone begins. And they're now arbitrarily choosing that it starts in the middle for some reason. So we're basing a lot of this on, like, that should be a strike. That should be a strike. That should be a strike. They're not. Also, you have a half-inch margin, but we're going by 0.1 of an inch. On which still does, if it's within a half inch, it's a non-call. You keep your challenge, but whatever was on the field stays. If it's within a half an inch, but for some reason we're not doing that, which still blows my mind. So there's a lot of that. Plus, a lot of the beginning is just trial and error. I guarantee you, they told him call it, go for it, call it. Like we are making attempts that we would never make in the game.
Right.
And so there's a lot of that too. And now you're going to see, as we get closer and closer, a lot more pointed calls, a lot more specific calls. And we're going to see a lot more pitchers calling it.
By the way, the A's highest success rate so far, 69.2% for them. That in
55
the early
across the league, or 52 across the league, and 69. That's
51.3% is the overall success rate with 2.3 challenges per game. Go ahead, Sam.
David, so with relation to this ABS thing and on the pitcher side of it, Spencer Strider had a very interesting quote in the middle of last week. He was talking about how he was very anti-ABS, and the reason was he thought that guys who had been around the major leagues for longer, who were, higher stature pitchers, deserved to get calls that maybe the rookie didn't deserve to get, or, not every pitcher had the same strike zone that they were pitching to. Is that real? Like how much truth is there in what Strider was saying?
I don't think nowadays it's real. I think it was
used to be
100% real. I was very clear about that when I was like, as a rookie, people were very clear to me. Like, you have to earn your strikes. You have to earn who you're pitching against, because they're gonna get the benefit of every single call. Like, I respect it. I'm a rookie walking in. I'm gonna pitch a Derek Jeter, dude. He's getting the borderline call. I am not. Now, if I like, and I shouldn't. He's earned that right. Now I should get the strike. He gets the ball and he gets the borderline call. I have to pitch better than how whatever, like, I'm walking in, especially if you hear that, like, the voice of God announcing number 2 Derek Jeter, like, he's going to get the call, and I'm okay with that. So 100%. But the problem is like, that's Spencer, like, that's not the game you're playing anymore. You're playing in a system that umpires get judged on every single call they make in a game. They get a report card, all that goes out the window, because they lose their job if they give Derek Jeter that call constantly. Where in the past they didn't. Like, that was just the game. Hey, they would literally walk out the mound and say, "Hey, Rook, pitch it back, like, figure it out, like, throw it to my zone." Every umpire had a different zone. Every had an up and down, in and out. Every hitter had a different zone. So you just had to work with it. You'd figure it out. But that was the game. That was the beauty of earning it. And now it's a box that is automatically told whether it's a strike or ball. So sorry, Spencer, like, get over it.
I keep saying it, though.
Better for you than it was.
Yeah.
I keep saying this, and I will continue to say it. This thing will get tweaked. It'll get adjusted. Technology being what it is, it's only going to get better in terms of the way this thing gets implemented and the technology around it. I'm glad they're doing it. I want the calls to be right, especially in key moments where too many times they're not, guys.
Yeah, again, just as long as there's a couple good tweaks with it,
there will be.
I want the game called right.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
Sam's so.
I'm just still on the fence. I think, as we understand with a lot of the changes that have gone on, quite frankly, in the last 5 years with Major League Baseball. But, like, David, I'm sure even you, when you were playing, as they would change minute rules, right? It's going to take a season. It's like, give me a season.
You think a whole season?
I was super against the bigger bases. I thought bigger bases were going to make it, like, way easier for, guys were never going to get thrown out anymore. And, we got a season into it and it became a lot more fun. So give me a couple months.
But do you think it's a whole season to adjust, David? I don't think it is. These guys.
It's going to be a couple seasons.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
This is a different, and again, a couple seasons with it, just because it's at that time, and they're going to get it really right. It's going to be better. I just don't want too many calls. Don't add 5 and then make it 10 calls a game. Don't make it like automatic where the umpire's getting second guess on every single pitch. Just tighten it up a little bit.
I got a minute. Are you surprised about Max Scherzer's decision to come back? What do you think he can do for the Blue Jays here?
He's a competitor. What we love about Max Scherzer and pitchers like this is are there competitors? Am I surprised? No. Like, at the very end of the year, playoffs, like, you started pitching really good. Should he come back? I think you're good. I think you've achieved everything. But, like, you have to love the thing you have to love about competitors, or competitors don't get mad that the competitors don't want to quit.
Fair enough.
Like, don't be disappointed. Like, oh man, you should walk away. Dude, that's what you love about him. He'll never walk away. He's the Brett Favre.
They're gonna have to tear he's that guy. They're gonna have to tear the jersey off him.
And that's what you have to love about him. Don't hate it at the end when they're not good enough to realize it.
It's interesting because the difference is Clayton Kershaw is like, I know my arm's done. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's a different. Like, when you just can't even do that. But Max Scherzer, he feels good. And if I saw what he pitched in the World Series, go for it.
David Aardsma, always appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks again to David Aardsma for hanging out with us, talking some baseball on this Tuesday. I watched some NBA last night. Kurt Heelan joins us every Wednesday on the show. We'll talk to him tomorrow from NBC Sports about all things NBA. I'm trying to figure out, after watching the Warriors last night, for all the bad things we could say about the situation in the Bay Area with this team, I am gobsmacked as to how this team has managed to pull off a 31-30 record through the first 61 games of the season. You had the Kuminga dysfunction with him saying he wants to be traded. He's on the bench. He's wasting away. You've got the injury to Jimmy Butler. He's obviously done for the season. Curry's out. He's going to be out long. For all the things we could talk about that are wrong with the Warriors, the one thing we got to say is Steve Kerr has coached his ass off to have that team at 31-30 in the Western Conference, knowing the beast that the West is. I'm amazed, Sam, that he's been able to even get this team into the position it's in now, where hopefully if they get Curry back, they can maybe be a play-in team and maybe make some noise. I doubt it. Because looking at that roster, I don't know how they've won 31 games out of the first 61.
It's so funny, Jason, when you originally sent me that this is what we were going to be talking about during this segment of the show, until a minute and a half ago, I understood it as, how have the Warriors gotten to a point where they are 31? How has Steve Kerr let this happen to this great basketball franchise that we've known for the last 10, 15 years, to the point where they are struggling to maintain play-in position, Jason? And that's still kind of where I'm at. And it does, to that effect, right, fall all on the heels of Steve Kerr, because you look at how they got to where they are, Jason. It's keeping Draymond Green around, as you have said, as I have said on this very show, 2 years longer than he ever should have been allowed to stay on that team. It's making horrible roster decisions, as Steve Kerr did throughout the beginning of this season, to make Jonathan Kuminga force a trade out of Golden State. The point to which they have found themselves in the season is all the responsibility of Steve Kerr, be it whether you want to look at it as, hey, he's using Al Horford for 20-some games and still learning to win, or he managed his roster to the point where players forced their way out, and now he's reaping what he sowed in terms of the Warriors dynasty.
Look, the decisions on Draymond Green and the situation with Kuminga, those are as much on. And look, the Kuminga thing, I'll blame a little more on Kerr, but the situation as far as keeping Draymond Green for as many years past the expiration date on that milk carton, to me, is as much a Mike Dunleavy, Joe Lacob issue. Sometimes we talk about owners that are too involved in the roster decisions and the overall direction of the organization. It feels like, to me, Lacob's not involved enough right now in terms of what's happening with the franchise that he is the owner of. With some of the decision-making that's going on as far as Dunleavy. Because if you look at that roster right now, if I go and look at the box score from last night, they're trotting out Pat Spencer and Moses Moody and, just a bunch of guys, basically a bunch of guys right now. The Bog, if you will. They're throwing out a Bog every night. And the fact that they're even competitive in that Western Conference, to me, again, how many teams have we seen that are doing the tank thing, that are just deciding to mail it in? The Warriors aren't doing that. They're still a 500 team. Again, I'm not saying they're going to win anything in the playoffs. I just think it's a better coaching job than he's probably getting credit for, given the roster and what he has to work with.
If they won last night, I think it might be a little bit of a different conversation, but still, they went out and got beat by 13 to, quite frankly, what for 2/3 of the season so far has been one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. They got beat by 13 to that team. It's a tough thing for the Warriors, right? And it's a tough thing. We've done this in other sports too, right, Jason? It's a tough thing when a dynasty ends to know when to let go.
And I've been the first to say it.
That's the crossroads that we're finding ourselves at. It feels like the expiration date on the Warriors being competitive at all has come and gone, but there are about a bazillion people. But they are competitive,
but that's just it. They are competitive. They're 31-30. That's competitive, Sam.
That's not competitive. That's competitive in this new era. Would you say, Jason, that by the same stretch, right? So would you say the Atlanta Hawks are a competitive basketball team right now?
What's Atlanta's record?
31-31.
Well, it's also in the East.
Watch an Atlanta Hawks basketball game. They're not a competitive team. Watch a Portland Trail Blazers basketball game, who's also in the Western Conference play-in. They're not a competitive team.
I think we differ.
It's hard to say that a team one game over 500 has remained relevant.
Relevant and competitive are possibly two different things. I think we differ on what our definition of competitive is then, because you've got just as good a chance of watching the Warriors win a game on any given night as you do watching them lose a game. That's basically the essence of a 500 team. Isn't it? I mean, that's essentially the essence of a 500 team. You have just as good a chance of seeing them win a game anytime you go watch them as you do losing a game anytime you watch them. And there are teams in this league right now that you go and watch, they have no chance of winning when you go to watch. There's more than a few of those teams out there right now because they're all trying to get as high a draft pick as possible. I think the fact that he's managed to kind of hold that thing together and that team hasn't quit, with the Curry injury, the injury to Butler, I'm impressed with it. And again, I'm not saying the Warriors are going in the right direction. I'm not saying they're making the right decisions. I'm just talking about Steve Kerr, the coach, because there's talk he may be gone at the end of this year. There's a possibility that he's not part of what's next here for the Warriors. That's a possibility.
Yeah, and I can't say that I disagree with it.
Yeah. We're coming back. We got more to do. Football next. Welcome back. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. John Rahm feuding with the DP Tour. Whew. And Kalshi not wanting to pay off those who invested in the right market? Say it ain't so, Joe. Sam. I know Sam has something to say about that. I know. Hold your fire. Hold your fire! Got to read the fine print, folks. Read that fine print. The Falcons are headed to Madrid. 9 international games in the NFL next year. And I guess my first question on this is there a critical mass? Is there a point where it's too many international games? As somebody who lives on the West Coast, 1 is too many because I hate getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the NFL. But Sam, I'm curious to get your take on the 9th NFL game, this time with the NFL going to Madrid. It will be the Atlanta Falcons that are headed there. And I guess, is that their home game that they're losing? I guess it is. Sorry to our folks in Atlanta watching on Peachtree Sports Network. I mean, is there a point where there's too many international games?
Yeah, we passed it a long time ago. We're looking at the point in the rearview mirror. Second year in a row they're going to play at this stadium in Madrid. As a Spanophile myself, as someone who spent months living in Spain, months of his life, you'd think that I would love this, right? You'd think that I'd be giddy about this, maybe even want to go to the game. We got to stop with this. And they're not going to. Do I think that there's even a snowball's chance and that they'll even consider having less international games or they won't even consider stopping expansion. They won't even consider capping it at 9. They're just going to keep going because the money's going to keep being there. And it's one of those things that is inherently wrong with sports, but is never going to stop because of the money that comes with it. It's just like pushing the NFL season further and further back. It's just like having the Final Four in April, having the Final Four for March Madness in April. It's just another one of these things, Jason. It's capitalism driven, and you're just going to keep seeing it expand and expand. The people who get really hoisted by this, the people who are really messed up by all of this happening, and the reason the NFL may actually eventually have to come to understand who they're affecting is season ticket holders. And the Washington Commanders fan base was very apt in finding this out and pointing this out over the course of the past year when they played one of their home games in Madrid. Season ticket prices do not change despite teams having a home game taken away. I'm not talking about on a per game basis. I'm talking about over the course of the season.
Yes.
You do not get that game taken out of the money that you have to pay towards season tickets.
Yeah.
And in an era, Jason, where we're seeing owners of these NFL teams drive up season ticket prices sometimes as much as 10% year over year, that is what is really going to affect the common NFL fan.
And they're not flying you to that international game for your to use your season tickets. I can promise you that. in this era where the NFL is going to have to try to figure out creative ways to get more money, because eventually these TV rights deals, they can't grow forever. The league's going to have to keep getting creative. And I think the international games right now are still the way to do that. You know, they can use these international games to get to grab that cash while it's there, because there's going to come a time where these TV rights deals, you got the FCC getting involved now, and who knows where that winds up landing on the chess or checkers board. You know, the NFL's got to look at this and say, we got to get all this money we can, because at some point these TV rights deals are going to be, you know, in a sort of a state of limbo if the FCC should get involved. Couple of moves around the NFL yesterday of note. Texans trade for David Montgomery. Yeah.
This happened right after we got the off the air, Jason. And yeah, I mean, I almost thought we were going to have to redo part of yesterday's show because of it. This is crazy. First of all, for those of you who are out there and interested in your fantasy leagues, Jahmyr Gibbs may have just become the most valuable fantasy asset in the National Football League. There are going to be leagues where he goes as the first overall pick, and I think it's completely warranted for Jahmyr Gibbs right now. It is incredible the workload that he just attained based on one trade. I thought the whole falling out between Montgomery and the Lions was very weird. It seems like maybe Montgomery's gotten to that point in his career where, you know, between his time on the Bears, his time on the Lions, he's suffered a lot of tough ends to seasons and losing out on a lot of playoff games in his career. I wonder if he's just trying to go somewhere where he thinks he'll have a better chance at winning. Another very weird anecdote from this that was kind of lost within all the shuffle. The original tweet came out, and it was David Montgomery, I believe, for a 5th round pick. And over the course of about 3 hours, you saw that trade haul completely change to what it ended up being David Montgomery for a player, an offensive tackle, a 4th round pick, and a 7th round pick. Little insight there into what happens when a trade becomes public and one other team wants to match it. There was very clearly a bidding war going on for David Montgomery yesterday afternoon in the NFL.
I mean, here, while I take your point on Jahmyr Gibbs, there is a thing called the draft. And it's not as if the Lions don't have any draft picks and they can't go draft a running back and go get some help for Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not going to be Jahmyr Gibbs every single carry for every single game of 2026, Sam. They're going to go and get some help.
No, but what affected a lot of his fantasy value was that David Montgomery took a lot of touchdowns away from Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're not going to do that with a rookie, let alone in this draft class where it's basically Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and nobody else. So I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have the vast majority of goal line touches for that team this year.
Quick thought on the Commanders releasing Lattimore?
He was so bad for them, Jason. He was so bad over the course of this season. It was destiny.
There you go. It was destiny. Odds and Ends is our destiny. We'll get to it coming up in a couple of minutes with, of course, some news from the world of Kelce and John Rahm going after the DP Tour. What's that about? Next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. But before we do, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. It's the 45-minute version of this show, mostly commercial-free, a couple of small commercials, but the audio version, it works just as well in its audio form as it does its TV form. Go and check it out today. Also, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. This is the place for all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. We have the TV version of the show Monday through Friday there. 45 minutes, that is commercial free. You can go and check that out. We've also got Sports Wrap Shorts. These are 1 to 3 minute long videos covering the top stories of the day, the top games every day and night. Something breaks, we jump in there and talk about it. That is Sports Wrap Shorts. And Sports Wrap Shorts are also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram, you guessed it, Sports Wrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay, on this Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and Ends, Sam Yarnell. I thought of you when I saw this story yesterday. Kelce refusing to pay out those that invested in the side of the Ayatollah of Iran being killed, or not being killed, the Ayatollah of Iran dying, because that was the way it was apparently worded, the Ayatollah of Iran dying prior to certain dates. There was a market for this. Millions of dollars bet on this. And apparently, if you bet that the Ayatollah was going to die, in the words of Warner Wolf, you lost because they're not paying out your bet. And the reason they're not paying out your bet is they're saying, well, he was killed. It was an untimely death. So we don't have to pay those out. Sam, Kalshi, fair or foul here?
I mean, you know what side I land on. I hope the viewers know what side I land on of all this. I really hope that this is just exposing to everybody what an absolutely corrupt and degenerative platform all of these prediction markets have become. And Jason, I think they're showing the true danger of what and what happened on Friday night into Saturday morning here in the U.S. was, you know, the latest, largest example, right? Not only was this entire thing with Khomeini something that affected the masses, right? This was something that affected millions of Kalshi users in this country. You also had simultaneously, I think it was 3 different Kalshi users profiting over 5, or maybe it was Polymarket for this one. One of these, what do they call themselves? Prediction markets,
yes.
Investment sites.
Sure.
They had 3 different users profit more than $500,000 each on when the U.S. would make these strikes. It has just become the biggest, most corrupt version of insider trading that this country has ever seen. It is ridiculous what these people are being allowed to get away with under the guise of it being gambling, when in reality it is nowhere near gambling. I tell you, man, we're trying to put guys like Terry Rozier in jail for match-fixing games in the NBA. What jail are we going to put these guys in for match-fixing freaking assassinations halfway across the world?
I wonder...
We got to do something about all this. Kalshi got to go. Polymarket's got to go. The CFTC clearly has no grasp on what they're doing. They need to turn this legislation over to the states who know how to do this kind of thing, who have handled it with gambling as recently as 7 years ago. It has gotten ridiculous.
I wonder if the 3 guys, or the few guys that you talked about that profited, were the same ones that were in a Washington, D.C. bar bragging before the bombs started dropping in Iran about how they knew that wait until you see what's about to happen. I wonder if it was the same guys. The prediction markets are definitely coming under fire with this one. I saw Tariq Mansour on CNBC recently, and they drilled him hard. They grilled him hard on the idea of the ability. I know this guy. Look at this guy on prediction markets. You're a different shade of red right now. This is great. They drilled him hard on the prediction markets, though, Sam, and saying, what's to stop people from fixing these things, especially people within government? I mean, my God, we already see the sorts of stuff that's going on in the crypto world and everything there. What's to stop people? And apparently, there's nothing to stop them. The DP World Tour, Sam Yarnell, John Rahm says, I ain't playing your game. I'm not playing by your rules. Not good for him if it comes to playing the Ryder Cup, that's for sure. Yeah.
Thankfully for John Rahm, right, on a personal level, he's experienced the Ryder Cup multiple times over. He's won and lost the Ryder Cup, I believe. But Jason, what I do think this may set is an interesting precedent, right, for these guys who we talked about maybe leaving LIV, the real top of the top guys at LIV, the Bryson DeChambeaus of the world, who want to potentially go back to the PGA Tour. It feels like something like this could make that road a little more rocky down the line, but I'm not sure for now. Yeah, Ryder Cup, it's unfortunate, but there are a ton of young European stars who will get a shot because of this, and that's, something exciting we can take away from it.
And John Rahm trying to be the rebel. That's going to do it for us. Thank you very much to David Aardsma. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell, all of you at home for watching. That's Sports Wrap on this Tuesday. We'll catch you back here on Wednesday. Kurt Heelan of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com will be here. And who else? We never know. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hi there, I'm Jason Page. You like what you're watching? Subscribe. We've got SportsWrap shorts on this channel. We've got the show. We've got clips from the show. What else do you have to do? You probably follow a lot of other things that aren't half as exciting. They're not half as exciting as this show is. So what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, follow the channel, watch the content. Bye.